Today I'm going to take a very quick look at intervals. Now, a lot of what follows might sound a bit kind of technical, a bit theoretical, and there'll be a little bit of technical jargon to deal with. But it's worth looking past that, because intervals, when you get down to it, are dead simple concepts, and they're really, really useful when it comes to thinking about all sorts of musical topics. So as we go on, if you feel that I'm blinding you with science, really bear in mind that this is actually quite simple stuff. Don't let the technical terms put you off. You can always come back and listen to them again. Okay? So what is an interval? Basically, it's really simple. It's the name for the distance between any two notes. Okay? We usually talk about intervals using ordinal numbers: second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and so on. Let me show you what I mean. If we start on a C, any C, but middle C in this case, and we count up 1, 2, 3, we land on an E, and we have an interval of a third. 1, 2, 3, a third. Now you'll notice, and this is important, that I started counting on the C itself. Okay? There isn't an interval called a first. If I sing or play this C, and you sing or play the same C, we're singing in unison. Okay? But if I sing this C, and you're singing the E above it, we're singing a third apart. 1, 2, 3. And so it goes on up the scale. Unison, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, octave. Not eighth, octave, ninth, 10th, 11th, and so on. Now, before we go on, why is any of this useful? Why is it good to be able to say that this note and this note are a fifth apart? It's because it means you can talk about the relationship between notes independent of their key. So we could say that this is an E and we play the B above it, but if we talk about it as a fifth, okay, it could apply to any key. Okay, and it also has a really distinctive sound, so we often talk about the sound of a fifth. Okay, so when we're talking about chords or theory, all the stuff that's really important if you want to be a good improvising musician or a songwriter or whatever, we don't have to get bogged down in talking about the particular notes of particular keys. We're not tied to a key, because we can use intervals to describe the relationships. Okay. Now, intervals are a really important part of the toolkit of musicians and of songwriters, and we talk about them and we use them all the time, so it's useful getting to know this stuff. Okay. Let's move on. Unison, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, can't say that word, seventh, octave. Now, so far we've only defined what we call the quantity of each interval. Any interval that you come across has both a quantity, which is the basic number of notes it's covering, 1, 2, 3 for a third, 1, 2, 3, 4 for a fourth, and something else that we call its quality. Okay? Quality and quantity. Now, to understand the difference between quality and quantity, let's have a look at that C to E interval again. Now, the quantity of that interval is a third, 1, 2, 3. But its quality is major. So when we give an interval its name, we say the quality followed by the quantity. So this interval is a major third. Okay? But now look at this. If we go up the minor scale, 1, 2, 3, C to E flat, that's still a third, but it's a minor third. Okay, you can hear the difference. Minor third, major third, minor third, major third. Okay. Now, if we only go as far as the octave, there are 4 intervals that can be major or minor. The second, which is a little bit complicated, we'll come back to it in a bit. The third, major third, minor third, we've seen. The sixth, major sixth or minor sixth, I hate having to say that. And the seventh, major seventh or minor seventh. Okay. What about the others? Well, the fourth and the fifth are usually called the perfect fourth and the perfect fifth, because they don't have a minor version or a major version, and they're usually the same in major and minor scales. Okay, so a fourth and a fifth. The fourth in particular always is a perfect fourth, because if you try changing it, you create a completely different kind of interval. The fifth can change. When we're playing a fifth, and it's quite rare, if we bring the upper note down a semitone, that's a half step if you're used to US terminology, we can then call it a diminished fifth or a flat fifth. Okay, if you wanted to get really techie, you could call it a tritone, because it's 3 whole tones. Okay, don't worry about that for now. So perfect fifth, flat fifth. Okay, perfect fifth is really important in music theory, and 100 or 1,000 times more common than a flat fifth. Okay, if we take our perfect fifth and we put it up a semitone, we get what's called an augmented fifth. Again, relatively rare, and as you can see, it's actually the same as a minor sixth. Now, whether you call it an augmented fifth or a minor sixth really depends on context, and it doesn't matter in terms of day-to-day playing. Okay. So, let's recap where we are so far. Now, don't worry, like I said, if you're struggling to remember the individual intervals or the terms at the moment, because in a minute we'll go through a quick and easy way of working out what's what that you can just memorise. Okay, so 2 identical notes played together are in unison. Okay, second, third, that's a major third or a minor third. 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3. Perfect fourth, perfect fifth, diminished fifth or a flat fifth, quite rare, major sixth, minor sixth, or could be an augmented fifth, doesn't really make a lot of difference, again quite rare. And then we're on to major seventh, minor seventh, and then octave. Okay, not an eighth, an octave. Now, if you're just getting to grips with intervals, it's a good idea to sit down and play some of those and get used to the sound that each interval makes, because that's really important. We often talk about intervals, to refer to a particular sound. Okay, and each interval, whatever your key you're playing it in, whatever 2 notes it's between, has a particularly unique kind of character. So a major third has a very distinctive character. Perfect fifth has, a sixth has, and so on. Okay, now the only one we haven't talked about in detail is the seconds, because like I said, it can be a tiny bit confusing. Now, 1, 2, that's a simple major second, but this is, strictly speaking, a minor second. That's going up just a difference of just 1 semitone. Now, technically it's known as a minor second, but I always think that's a bit confusing, because if this were a minor scale starting on C, the second note would actually be D natural. Okay, so because of that, I sometimes call it a diminished second, which is a bit naughty, because again, it's not really a diminished second. It's a bit problematic. If you talk to someone who's studied formal music theory, they'll tell you that a diminished second is something different again. I often think the best thing is just to talk about it as a semitone difference or a half step difference. Okay, so when you're talking about seconds, just be aware about the little bit of complexity there. Okay, so once again, let's recap all the intervals we've looked at. This time, we'll think about them in terms of semitone distances. Okay, so apologies if you're in the States. Every time I use the word semitone, try and hear me say half step. Okay, so that is unison. 2 notes played the same are unison. 2 semitones immediately above each other are a minor second or flat second, diminished second, whatever you want to call it. 3 semitones is a major second. 4 semitones is a minor third. 5 semitones is a major third. 6 semitones is a perfect fourth. 7 semitones is a flat fifth, a diminished fifth, a tritone, whatever you want to call it. 8 semitones is a perfect fifth, really distinctive sounds. Okay, really important for music theory. 9 semitones is a minor sixth, or sometimes an augmented fifth. 10 semitones is a major sixth. 11 semitones is a minor seventh. Okay, really important in dominant seventh chords. 12 semitones is a major seventh, really distinctive sound. Okay, it's like an upside down minor second. Okay, and then 13 semitones is an octave. Okay, now, as I say, it's useful to sit down and learn those. Okay, and get used to the sound of each one. It's not something that is immediately graspable straight away, but it's not dead complicated. It's worth saying that intervals are absolute measurements. Okay, they purely measure the distance between two notes, irrespective of key. Okay, and they are often used, as we've seen, to talk about the distinctive sound that two notes make together: major third, perfect fourth, and so on. Okay, but like I say, it is irrespective of C. Okay, so if we're in the key of C major, and we our melody jumps from F to A, we can say it's jumping a major third. If it jumps from A to C, we would say it jumps a minor third. Okay, a jump from G to C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 semitones, is always a perfect fourth. Doesn't matter what key you're in, whether you're in excuse me, C major, E flat major, E minor, G flat minor, whatever. If your melody jumps from G to C, it's always a perfect fourth. Okay, so we're talking about absolute different distances between individual notes. So because of that, you can get minor intervals in major keys. If that's the scale of C, C to E is a major third, but E to G is a minor third. Okay, there's an interesting point there. If you take any root position major triad like C, it's always a major third with a minor third stacked on top of it. Okay, and minors are the other way round. So a root position minor triad, like C minor, is always a minor third with a major third stacked on top of it. Okay. Now, that's it really. As I say, there's stuff there that you need to learn, that you need to go through. It is really useful and really important to music theory. You know, so I always say the thing about music theory is knowing a little bit will take you a long, long way. And understanding intervals, it really does kind of, it might seem very academic, but it really does kind of unlock the door to a much deeper understanding of music. If it all still sounds like a bit of a mystery, go through the video again. You know, there are loads of other resources online, but you might be interested in having a look at my book, he says, launching into a sales pitch. There's a full section on intervals in the back. I've included, and then where is it? Right, it's in here somewhere. Intervals. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Okay. There's a full overview of intervals in the back there, full appendix. And if you got a bit mystified when I was talking about chords, then the whole first section of the book is all about chords and how to make them work on a piano. Obviously, the stuff I've been talking about in this video is, applies to all music. You know, whether you're singing or playing the didgeridoo or whatever. But if you're particularly interested in the piano, again, intervals are really useful, and they're all explained in here. Okay. Any questions, comments, thoughts, arguments, rude remarks you want to make? Stick them in the comment thread. I will always come back and try to respond if I spot it, which I usually do. And that's about it. Okay. Thanks for listening.